let's recap day one of Big 12 Media Days, talk about what we learned from the teams that featured, and, if anything, who might win the Big 12? What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. If this is your first time watching Adapt and Respond, thank you for joining us here. We talk college football year round. If that is something you're into, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, like this video, and answer the question in the comments below. Who's going to win the Big 12? Like, dead up, dead ass. Who's going to win the Big 12 conference? Tell me in the comments below. I got a pick. I ain't ready to put it out there yet, because I'm percolating and I'm working on this 136. I'm also going to take this opportunity to remind you that we have an audio podcast on Spotify and Apple. And if you're kind enough to leave us a 5-star review, go ahead and hit that link in the description below after you do the 5-star review on Apple and Spotify, and I'll send you one of these nifty stickers. Some people be hating on the stickers. I love a good sticker, dog, especially one for free and one that I'm getting a handwritten note from dude's show I be watching, but that's just me. Also working on the ultimate 136, getting ready to file that thing later this week. For those of y'all that somehow think because the show changed up that I don't work at Fox anymore, you are wrong, Colonel Sanders. I'm a national college football analyst at Fox Sports. The top 25, the 136, all those things are coming. You can still read my work at Fox Sports. Just don't do the show. Job's the same. All right? Chill out. Other part about this means that I'm keeping an eye on all of it, because that's my job. My job is to watch as much college football as is played, so that when it comes to things like the 136, comes to things like the top 25, you understand that ain't nobody watched more college football than I have. Just what it is. Like, when they got the Tuesday night action that be coming on right after the playoff, your mans be watching that too, right? Some of these teams never end up in the top 25. It doesn't matter, because the 136 comes around, and I need to be able to talk about Bowling Green as well as I can talk about Ohio State. Bowling Green, that is in Ohio, not Western Kentucky, which is in Bowling Green, Kentucky. All right. So we had Arizona State, Baylor, BYU, Central Florida, Cincinnati, Iowa State, Kansas State, Texas Tech all show up for Media Days day one. But Brett Yormark kind of stole the show with his opening remarks, because as I did in the previous segment, he doubled down on the 5+1 format. That's really the biggest takeaway. The 5+1 format is the 5 highest ranked champions, conference champions, plus the next 11, right? So figure 6 and 6, or 6 and 10, excuse me, because Notre Dame probably gets one of these at-large berths, right? Because they don't play in a conference. They play an ACC schedule in this open marriage, which is kind of strange for a Catholic university. But you know what? It's strange times. Revenue sharing, name, image, and likeness, immediate transfer portal, stuff that Scott Frost really never got to do at Central Florida, and probably sets him back like it did in Nebraska. But we'll get to that in a little bit. I want to start with Arizona State, because they single-handedly retired the preseason media poll and the coaches poll by themselves. And Yormark said, look, we don't feel bad about that one way. We think not just Arizona State, but a bunch of our teams got disadvantaged by this thing. Because what tends to happen is folks that don't cover the Big 12 take what the media and coaches have to say about it and then filter that into their conversations as they're doing their top 25s. Remember, there's only about 60 people that get to vote in the AP top 25. Perhaps some of them don't, cover the Big 12 regularly. So when you see Arizona State was ranked dead last or picked dead last, and they go and they win the conference championship and they're your only selection, you're going to start pointing fingers. And I think the easiest way for them to point fingers is to say, we're just not going to let you rank us or ask you to rank us anymore. That's not what we're going to do anymore. And you know what? Fine, right? We're getting closer and closer to the kind of journalism and the kind of commentary that you see in the UK, right? Where what people say and how they're saying it is being investigated and or pointed out all the time. Quotes are getting more difficult to come by. So the things that you get to see and the people that you trust inside the program have never been more important to the work that is just trying to get good information, especially as more of y'all are coming to bet on the games, and we're seeing how that is affecting sports all across this country, right? NBA is dealing with this in a way that college football has been dealing with it, frankly. NFL hadn't had to deal with it, but the NFL's been really gearing up for this for a very long time, and they've got some really great apparatuses in place to curtail people being stupid about betting and or cheating, right? We still got a cheating scandal we ain't even figured out with Michigan, right? Arizona State, though, also has Sam Leavitt returning and a bunch of dudes not named Cam Scattaboo that are coming back. Like, if you think that they're good last year, they're probably going to be good this year. Sam Leavitt, Offensive Player of the Year by some. And I think Jordan Tyson has an opportunity to be the best wide receiver in this league. Kenny Dillingham knows what he has. He knows what he's up against. And I'm excited to see what the Sun Devils can do. Can you run it back, or was last year just a flash in the pan? When they did make the playoff, they were good. They were real good. They pushed Texas into the deep water and damn near got the win. That's another reason why I think, the preseason media poll has gone away and why your mark is pushing 5+11 is he thinks you can get more than one Big 12 team in there, right? Conference champion, sure. But I would love to have seen what happens if Iowa State or BYU or Colorado or even Kansas State got an invitation to play last year. What would have happened? Would they have been in a better spot than SMU? Well, that spot belongs to Alabama, so people would think, well, in a 16-team playoff, you still got room, right? Could you do that? And then what, if anything, do we expect from the Big 12 going forward? Because I think when you condense it, it is top to bottom, tough 16-team league in the country, right? That includes the SEC, which is top-heavy as hell, like the Big 10 with 18 teams. And the ACC is kind of there. They got 4 or 5 teams I think are good, and the rest are just kind of bringing up the rear. You get to the Big 12, it's a dogfight each and every week, and you know this because every single team in the Big 12 last year caught 2 losses, right? And they were penalized for it because the records were not that great. I'll give you an example. Kansas State finishes 9 wins, 9-4, right? Tied for 8th in the Big 12, and they might win the league this year. They're that good. They're that loaded. We'll talk about them in a bit. So there's Arizona State. Baylor, Dave Aranda's not shy about it. He believes it's the most talented team that he has ever had at Baylor. Remember, man had a 12-2 team 2021, okay? He has Jake Spavital back to calling plays with Sawyer Robertson. Remember, Sawyer Robertson didn't even win the job coming out of camp. Still passed 3,000 yards, 32 total TDs, 8 picks. They're going to be good. Dave Aranda took over calling the defense again last year. It got better. Matt Powledge is still there. They're building, and they have been building. And in the Big 12 particularly, you've seen a commitment to recruiting high school. And Baylor is a great example of that. They expect to be 75, 80% high school development just next year, which is a difficult thing to pull off because the transfer portal is right there and name, image, and likeness is right there and revenue sharing is right there. But they've been able to do this at Baylor as, only they could. I think Baylor, BYU, Notre Dame, they got a built-in advantage with the church behind them. And there are some faiths where you just, like Catholic faith, you grow up, you want to go play at Notre Dame, right? You grow up Church of Latter-day Saints, you want to go play at BYU. You grow up Baptist, probably want to go play at Baylor, drink a lot of Dr. Pepper. BYU, I just mentioned, Kalani Sitake's going into year 10. He turns 50 this year, but he's going to earn it. This was supposed to be the Jake Retzloff show at BYU. It will not be. He was accused of rape in a civil suit. It was dismissed, but there was a violation of the honor code, which would have probably precipitated, according to Salt Lake Tribune, a 7-game suspension for Retzloff. And he just said, you know what, the hell with that. I'm going into the portal. I get it. But now you got 2 quarterbacks that have played and no quarterback that has thrown for more than 1,400 yards in his career. So you're looking at guys like McKay Hillstead and Trayon Bourget and Hank Bachmeier, true freshman, and trying to figure out who's going to win the job. Nobody can tell right now. I just do know that L.J. Martin's going to get a lot of carries, a lot of touches. He was 718 yards rushing last year. He should be over 1,000 this year. If they find a quarterback that can actually facilitate some sort of service to Chase Roberts, he could be a 1,000-yard receiver. But it was the defense that starred for BYU last year. It will be the defense that stars for BYU this year. They were first in the league in points per game allowed, 19.3. Yards per game allowed, 308. Turnovers forced, 29. They were a defensive team that happened to have a quarterback that could go get them a win late. I don't expect that to change much, no matter who the quarterback is. But 11 wins is 11 wins. Central Florida, good luck. Dead ass. I'm doing my 136, and when you get to the Power 4 teams that are approaching past rank 75 into 100 into 110, you're looking at Central Florida going, ugh. brought in Scott Frost, trying to see if they can't make that old thing new again. First time he's going to be back there since leaving in 2017. Went to Nebraska 5 years. It didn't go well. Spent some time with Sean McVay. And now he's back in Orlando. But he's back in Orlando in a totally different environment. Might as well be Earth 919 because it ain't Earth 616. You know what I'm saying? When they won 13 games in a row and beat Auburn in the Peach Bowl, there was no transfer portal. There was no immediate eligibility. There was no name, image, and likeness. And there certainly was no revenue sharing. And Central Florida was in the American. Now they're in the Big 12. A lot of stuff has changed. They won 2 games in conference last year, 4 games total. They have not won fewer than 4 games until 2013. So, they've been consistently good up until last year. Gus Malzahn gets fired. He's calling offense at Florida State. Gus Malzahn, who thought that Central Florida could be a place where you could turn them into a sleeping giant as a power forward team, wasn't him to do it. Also kind of serendipitous, I think, that it's Scott Frost that takes over for Gus Malzahn because Scott Frost beat Gus Malzahn at Auburn for that Peach Bowl championship. Pretty fun and pretty funny to me, right? We'll see what they got. They still don't know who the quarterback is going to be, and frankly, I don't know that it's going to matter that much if they can't run the ball well, and Miles Montgomery's going to have to do it because R.J. Harvey was a monster last year. They get Jacksonville State. They get another an FCS opponent. Not another. They get an FCS opponent. And then North Carolina, where we get to find out just how good or bad both of those teams are. Scott Frost, who actually played for Bill Belichick with the New York Jets. So that'd be fun. We'll see how that goes. Cincinnati is indicative of the Big 12, man. This is a team, or program, I should say, that made the college football playoff in 2021 as a group of 5 team when it was still 4 teams in. Different head coach, Lou Fickell, right? Different conference, the American. They moved to the Big 12, and it ain't been fun ever since. They are 3-9, 5-7. I mean, Scott Satterfield is 8-16 at Cincinnati, but they have reason to feel good about what they can do this year because you talk about a team that basically lost 5 games by 1 score, or 4 games by 1 score, so they could just as easily have been a 9-win team. Brendan Storsby comes back. I like a veteran quarterback. Usually veteran quarterbacks that can throw the ball all over the yard. They get better with age. They do like fine wines. This dude threw for 426, 4 TDs, and a pick against Texas Tech last year. Also led the conference in rushing TDs with 9. Evan Pryor, former Ohio State tailback. He's probably going to be the bell cow. And he's probably going to go for 1,000 yards because Cincinnati's had a 1,000-yard rusher for 13 consecutive years. Doesn't matter who the head coach is, they're running the football. And Scott Satterfield loves to run the football. So we'll see. They open up against Nebraska at Arrowhead Stadium. That could be a tremendous victory for them because I expect Nebraska to be an 8, 9, 10 win team this year, given what the schedule is and given what Dylan Raiola has meant to that program. Dana Holgerson calling the plays, but it's gonna be uphill. It's gonna be uphill both ways for Cincinnati in this Big 12. Iowa State could have been Arizona State last year. They just got absolutely thumped in the Big 12 championship, and then you got to see, Arizona State was for real. Now I wonder how many people are going to see Iowa State the same way. You know, Matt Campbell, who's one of my favorite coaches, because the man got it up out the mud. He loves a rough football game. Absolutely enjoys it. Actually transferred as an All-American from Pitt to Mount Union because he loved the way that dudes were running down the highway, jogging together. Played for Larry Karras, a man who described playing for him as take a fist, put it into gravel, and grind your fist into the gravel. If you can do that and like it, you can play football for me. Whew. Tough. And, Matt Campbell, who told me, hey, at Iowa State, you got to go up the rough side of the mountain. And I'm going, ooh, you get goosebumps from my man. Look, yes, Lord. And with Rocco Beck, they got a dude. I know that there's not a lot of people that are seeing what's popping off at Ames, seeing what's popping off at Jack Trice Stadium, but maybe you will because Rocco can spin it. And they'll be there again at the end. I really like Kansas State, but I really like Kansas State because Cliff Kleiman has, been a consistent winner. They've won 9 games in a row the last 3 years. They went to Oklahoma and dumped on them, right? It's here and there for them. It's not dropping a game that you shouldn't. It's beating everybody that you should. It's Avery Johnson being one of just, I believe, 3 players in a power 4 to pass for 2,700 yards and rush for over 600 yards. It's Dylan Edwards being fast that makes them the fastest backfield, I think, in this conference. And I think that they're going to be pretty good in getting in and out of play calls, right? I say that because there's a change at offensive coordinator, and it's a change that I very much enjoy. The reason that I enjoy it is we got ties to Oklahoma, we got ties to Texas Tech. Yeah, Matt can do it. Matt's ready for this. I don't know that Kansas State fans are familiar with his movies, but when the offense is rolling, Matt can get it rolling. Fast thing we got to talk about, Texas Tech. And that money they be spending. The problem with spending money like the way Texas Tech has been spending money is that's all we going to talk about, dog. Ask Ohio State what we talked about last year. When we know that you were willing to spend more than $10 million on a roster in the portal, when we know that you got Quentin Joyner from USC, Romello Height from Georgia Tech, David Bailey from Stanford, you were able to get Micah Hudson to come back. Baron Morton's there if he can stay injury-free. You had Taj Brooks. Yeah, we expect you to be great. We really do. And Joey McGuire accepts that. He wants that. Cool. The one thing that people use to recruit against us, he would say, is we don't play for Big 12 championships. That changes this year. I would like to see it, my guy. I would like to see it. Joey McGuire also, I got a bunch of coaches in this league I really love, but I love me some Joey McGuire. For those of y'all that are unfamiliar, he is Texas high school football royalty. Like, between him and Jeff Traylor, I don't think you can talk about two dudes that people are pulling for more that coach college football in the state of Texas because of what they meant to their high school programs. Matter of fact, Jeff Traylor gave us G.J. Kinney. G.J. Kinney, head coach at Texas State and my classmate at TU. G.J. Kinney, who is going to be one of those guys. Like, Texas State's going to have a hard time keeping a hold of him. They go win 8, 9, 10 games this year in the Sun Belt. We'll see. So that's day one. I think of these teams, the only team that I feel comfortable just saying they're not going to win the Big 12 championship is UCF. After that, Cincinnati, but everybody else, you could see them being there at the end. It's that tight. It's that good. Year in, year out, week in, week out, you're going to have games. Are they going to be top 25 matchups? No. But that's why the 5+11 model is one in which they're trying to go. So now that we have done the big honking Big 12 Media Day 1 recap, you let me know. Who do you think is going to win the conference championship?